So this is how we made the swab. A friend of mine recently introduced me to Angry Video Game Nerd, which was, of course, created by James Rolfe and Mike Matei. They also created the Board James series, and I was incredibly inspired with what James was doing. I was especially a fan of when he would take something from his collection and make a villain out of it. Some examples were Rob the Robot and Angry Video Game Nerd. There was Mr. Bucket and the Dream Phone in the Board James series. And I wanted to do something similar to pay tribute to his style. And what better way to do that than with a monster horror movie? And the idea of the swap came to me when a bunch of us from my job had to go get COVID tested. And I nicknamed our little group the Swab Squad. So let's dig in. The logo for this video was drawn freehand, very crudely on a piece of paper. I just took a picture of it on my phone, and then I traced and fixed it up all in Photoshop with a drawing display tablet. The opening music is a very loose, subtle riff of the Angry Video Game Nerd theme. I played it in GarageBand on a cheap USB keyboard. And then my girlfriend Rocky was goofing around on the keyboard one day and she just played this little chime, this little riff, and that ended up in the video. I attempted to score this myself, but I don't know how to write music or play a keyboard for that matter. So that didn't really work out, but I tried. Instead, I puzzle pieced the score together from royalty-free tracks that I had bought a license for. And now let's talk about the effects. The Rob the Robot episode of Angry Video Game Nerd is the main influence for all the effects in this. Puppeteering the robot with fishing line required a lot of patience, because he would be constantly turning and spinning mid-air. It was very hard to keep him straight. Had to take several takes to get the shots that I needed for the video. The shot of Robbie hitting the door was actually a green screen against a mattress that was propped up against the wall, and then I keyed his impact into an empty shot of the door. And I obviously didn't want to actually throw him against the door. He probably would have shattered right there on the spot. And I originally tried the shot of him jumping at me from the floor against a green screen, but I did not factor in that his eyes are also green. So when I went to key in the background, his eyes would be keyed out and they would also become part of the background. So what I had to do was I just had to do it live in the frame. I attached him to a rod with some fishing line and just did take after take after take until I got exactly the right one. Sometimes doing it more simply and practically is the better solution. Now let's talk about the Super Nintendo controllers floating around the room. We used the same method that James did in the Rob the Robot episode. Since I was in the shot, we put the camera on a tripod and my girlfriend Rocky puppeteered them around me. It was very surreal to see that all happening in front of you, because even being there, you could barely see the fishing line, so it actually looked very real. And we just tied them to a couple of broom handles and just floated them around the room. And then another borrowed method from James was how to get the controllers to wrap around my wrists on their own. We basically just wrapped them around my wrist, and then Rocky would slowly pull them away, and they would just slowly unravel. And then I would just play the footage in reverse when I edit it in Final Cut Pro. And we had to use Pam cooking spray of all things to make the cords slip, otherwise they would just grip right to my skin. And something I overlooked when we were filming it, when I got the shot of Robbie laying on the floor right after he hits the door, this little girl was underneath the table. Oh, are you fascinated with the boom mic? Huh? Oh, the live cat playing with the dead cat, huh? Oh, good job, Bingy. Rocky and I had a lot of fun working on this. I have to say, without her, this would not have turned out as well as it did. And I did reach out to James Rolfe shortly after I uploaded this. And to my surprise, he actually wrote back. He thanked me for the video. He said it has some really cool suspense and that he liked it. So thank you, James, for taking the time to write back to me, and I'm really glad you liked it. So that's it. That's how we made the swab. This channel is off to a slow start, but I am writing more projects that I cannot wait to get going on. Whether this channel actually takes off or not, that doesn't matter. I'm just so happy to be making stuff. Filming has been a hobby of mine since I was a teenager. So to the 2 or 3 people out there that are actually watching this, thank you for your time and your support. You think you're gonna get me with that again?